Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you here. Today, I'm going to be talking about my book, The Art of Tailoring, Step-by-Step Skills That Can Lead to a Career. So that is my book. It is written by me. Here is the page with my signature there. And I'm going to go over just a little bit of controversy that if you go to Amazon and you go to buy my book, that I do have one review on there that is not a really nice review. So I'm just going to mention it here of how I feel about tailoring and alterations. Some people call it tailoring, some people call it alterations. Then there's also bespoke tailoring. And the bad review, I think she's referring to bespoke tailoring, where you take fabric and you cut out a specific suit or whatever for a specific person. You take their measurements, you cut out a suit. That is called bespoke tailoring. It's not just tailoring. Tailoring is more where you're doing alterations on men's suits. You're tailoring to their specific needs of their suit, right? So I think there's a little bit of misinformation on her part. But anyway, I just wanted to clarify that if you go to buy my book and that is on there, I want to clarify. Some people call alterations, alterations. Some people call it tailoring, whatever word you use. Now, I learned from a third generation tailor from Denmark, and he called it tailoring. We called the shop tailoring. I worked in a real high-end clothing store, and we had 13 employees there, 13 people in the alteration shop and tailoring shop. And we also had a bridal section, and we had where men's suits come in and out of there. We would do about 100 pairs of pants a day. We would do like maybe 50, sometimes 60 suits, coats, jacket alterations, shortened collars, shortened coats, lower collars, raised backs. I started off with doing sleeves when I first started, and then I started learning all the different tasks, take insides, all these different stuff. So we had different stations inside the tailor shop, and I was really fast with my hands. So the head tailor taught me everything. He would move me to different locations where the clothing was getting out too slow. So wherever it was, I'd get put on pockets, or I'd get put on waistbands, or I'd get put on hems, or wherever we needed to push the clothing out, he would move me around throughout the day on different tasks to get things handled. So that's what we did. We had one lady that did all the pressing, so she pressed every single suit that went out the door, and they were put into a bag or whatever, and then filed by alphabetical order so the salespeople could find them, and then they could give them to the client, to the customer. So, and we all called it the tailor shop. So my book is called Tailoring, the Art of Tailoring, because that is what I grew up with. That's where I learned my trade from, my craft. So I wanted to clarify that and clear that up just right off of the bat. So anyway, but this book will offer great advice on how to set up your alteration shop, how to treat your customers, what tools you will need, different tips and tricks that I learned and I used in my own alteration shops. So it's more than just a book about tailoring. It's going to teach you how to do each task, that you perform on someone's alteration, on their garments or whatever. And starting an alteration shop is very inexpensive. You can start out real small. You can just put some ads out there where you're just going to do hems only. You can put ads out there where you're just going to do dresses only. You can do it and set it up, whatever it is, the skill that you already know and you're confident and comfortable doing for other people. You could start with that one task and just promote that, until you learn some of these other basic skills that you can also make money off of. So maybe there's some tasks, you already have an alteration shop, but maybe there's some things that you don't do. Like maybe you don't shorten the coats because you don't know how. Maybe you don't raise the back because you don't know how. excuse me, maybe you don't offer sleeves because you don't know how. So this book will help you with whatever it is you don't know how to do, so you can start to learn those tasks, and then you can increase your revenue by just learning new skills and new tasks to bring in to your shop. So that is, you know, a great way. This book is offers so much in such little read. And you could start a shop like right away. You know, you just need some basic tools, and you could start off doing hemming and just do it by hand. You know, just get some silk threads, you know, some silk, what do I want to say? Silk coated threads that are like beeswax coated, and they slide and glide through the hems like really nice. You want to use a small needle so you can glide and make those tiny stitches, and then they don't show on the outside. You use a large needle, you're going to take up too much fabric, and you're going to leave little indentations all the way around the pant hem. So you want to use a super fine, super small or needle, and that way you will get the precise you know, technique down pat. And you can just start a little with that little bit of just only doing hems, you know, if you don't have a machine. And that is a good money maker just right there, you know, just doing dress hems or whatever. So what else do I want to mention to you? I mentioned to you about my experience and how we called it a tailor shop, the third generation that taught me. And yeah, then this book just walks you through so many different steps that are so educational for you. It will also leave you with a good insight on how to treat your customers. And I also do have a customer service ebook on eBay. No, I'm sorry, on Amazon. That you can also learn how to treat your customers better. It's a little ebook that will guide you through that. You know, purchasing this book, you will save yourself years of struggle trying to figure out the alterations all by yourself. Because when you are just winging it, you're not going to do a really crafty, good job. You're going to just have sleeves that are like puffy. They're not like all uniform, the same one turning out exactly the same. You want to make sure that you're consistent with how things go out the door. When something comes back to you, you can recognize your own work. You know exactly how you do each sleeve. You know exactly your own work. And nobody can bring it to you and say, oh, I had this done 3 months ago. And you look at it and you're like, well, that's not my thread and that's not my work, you know? So always make sure that you are consistent on what color threads you use, on what color jackets or whatever. Make sure that you know exactly where you tack something and exactly where you clip something or how much fabric you leave inside there. You know your work, right? So that way it will save your butt. Really. You know, throughout the years, you'll know your exact work. So that really does help, you know. And what else here? Also, just talking a little bit about the book, I wanted to just share and do a little rundown on what the contents of the book is. That way it'll give you more of an idea of what the book offers. So if there's something in there that like, maybe I can learn from that. You know, I'm doing this video so you can learn from me. You can learn the different things. And that will help you. And I'm always here to coach you. I'm always here to sign you up to do an interview, not an interview, but like a coaching call with you. You can do it on the phone. You can do it on Zoom. You can, you know, do a FaceTime or whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. A lot of people just like just the regular phone call. They're busy. They just want to do a phone call. They don't want to put themselves on, you know, some people like to see who they're talking to. They want to speak with me directly. So it just depends on you and your personal preference, but which way works. So anyway, the contents of this book. So it starts off with an introduction, and then it goes into, it also tells you a little bit of my background moving to Nebraska, where I didn't know anyone, and then start working in this tailor shop. I lived in my car for a while. I didn't have home for a few days. So we lived in this little Volkswagen, and it was really scary, you guys. It was so scary. We didn't know if we were going to have food on the table or anything, but we did get an apartment. It was cockroach infested apartment where my partner that I went, my guy friend that I went with, he would sleep and I would watch over him to swat off the cockroaches, and then I would sleep and he would stay up and and swoosh them off of me. And we stayed there 3 weeks and we got our own place. We really lucked out because when I went there, we got an apartment right away after we lived in our car for days. And our car caught on fire, and it was just, it was horrific. We got in a tornado. It was just, it was something else. So we were probably about 21, 22 years old when we took off from Indiana and drove all the way to Colorado. Colorado was too expensive, so we came back this way and we went to Lincoln, Nebraska. So that's where we stayed, and that's where I learned my trade, Lincoln, Nebraska, at Gateway Mall back then. I don't think it's called Gateway Mall anymore. I think it's called, I've been there, not recently, but I've been there a couple times, and it's called, I think it was a new owner, it's called something else. But anyway, so that's a little bit of my backstory. And so the book, the contents of the book, I'm just going to read some of that out. Let me see how much. Quite a bit. Okay, so it starts off with the introduction, and then it's setting up your shop. So it talks about setting up your shop. And now if I would have, I wrote this book probably, when did this book get published? This book was published 2018. But since then, I've learned other things too along the way of setting up shop and production and different things too. So I would have added more to that. So maybe there'll someday be some sort of a part 2, like maybe, I don't know, some other tips or tricks or something. I don't know. But anyways, setting up your shop, marking garments and fitting customers, men's suit jackets, leather coats, leather sleeves, lengthened sleeves, sorry, facing fabrics to lengthen sleeves, so you can face the fabric and then you can get the sleeve to go all the way down to almost to the raw edge, and then once you face it, you'll have some matching fabric there, and then you can attach your lining to that, so you get the sleeve. You'll get about an inch, depending on each maker or designer. You'll get used to be right around 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches maybe, depending on how much they leave in there. I know they're cutting, they're leaving less and less in those sleeves, but it used to be that. But anyway, facing fabric to lengthen sleeves. Okay, we said that. Take in the sides of the jacket. Center seam take in and let out. Lower collar, raise center back. Shape lapels. Take in the shoulders of a jacket. Close the back vent. Sweat shields under the arms, elbow patches, shortened suit jacket, pant alterations, plain hem, ladies pant hem, lengthened pants, lengthen and face hem, jean type hem, cuff on the outside of pants, work pant hem, and then taper legs, jean waist, replaces zipper, making pants into shorts, suspender buttons, top stitch pleats in pants, belt loops, dress shirts, move vent on shirt sleeve, make sleeves into short sleeves, taper sides of shirt, shorten shirt, square off shirt bottom, shorten outer coat sleeves, shorten outer coat hem, tucks jacket sleeves, make sweater sleeves into arm warmers. So that's kind of like a new little thing I added to it, some other little things. Helpful hints are in here. Mend a sweater, jean rivet, replace the pole on a zipper, reinforce buttons, face sleeve lining, helpful tips, ironing shirts, supplies for alterations, bonus tips, different types of stitches, fabrics for the shop, threads for the shop, definition, and then in closing. So in these pages, you will read part of my story with a successful tailoring shop and how I got my dream career. And so that's what it states. And then so I mentioned the introduction and all of that. Let's see. And it's really, it's not a lot of reading. It's down to the basics of how to do things. It's not like a bunch of BS, you know. It's down to the task of reading this book, learning the skills of alterations, and being able to do them. Like a plain hymn, it's that many pages. Plain hymn, it goes into detail of how to do it, and it's that much. Ladies pant hymn, that much information. It tells you exactly. Jean waist, one page. How to replace a zipper, one page. How to do it, that's it. It's not a bunch of other tailor shop or other tailoring books or other alteration books. You have to read like a thick book to try to get the know-how of how to do something. This book is like a guide. Like if you have employees and they need something to get started with, you keep hiring new employees, they need a guidebook. This is the guidebook they should be using. This is the only guidebook they should be using. It cuts the chase. You go right to each task, and it tells you exactly how to do it, what tools you'll need, how to do it. And yeah, so it's not a whole lot of reading. It is just exactly and to the point. Helpful tips. I'll read some of the helpful tips in here. It's a one-page face sleeve lining. Okay, how to get out lipstick, ink, spots, pressing tips, chalk tips, creases, scrap fabrics, your steamer, pin cushion. It tells you how to iron a shirt professionally, so you could take in that. If you're not ironing shirts for money or for revenue, you should be, right? It tells you all the different supplies you're going to need for alterations, all the different supplies you'll need for in your alteration shop. It has a bonus tip in here, different types of stitches. So it tells you about how to do different types of stitches, and then that you'll need in your shop. And then it talks about threads, fabrics, fabric for your shop, threads for your shop. Does some definitions on what the meaning is. Common widths of fabrics. It talks about natural fibers, man-made fibers, needles, and then it talks a little bit about me. So in the back. So, and then it has a little thing that you can read this on Amazon. It has this where you can read what the book really offers. So anyway, I wanted to mention that to you. I'm also going to give you guys some customer tips, but just for the book. If any of you buy the book, you purchase the book, you take a picture of yourself with the book, you email it to me, and you would like a magnet. It's like a ruler magnet of, it has this book insignia logo, this logo on it or whatever. It's kind of cute. It kind of goes along with the book. I will send you that free. So if you send me your home address with a picture of you holding the book, that you purchased the book, or some sort of way to show me that you really ordered the book, I will send you a free gift. You send me your address, I will send you the free gift. So yeah, so that is exciting. And then, so I want to talk to you a little bit today about customer care in your alteration shop. Now, some of this may be redundant in the book. I'm not positive on that, but it's different things that were just kind of on my mind, and like I want to really go over that, because those customers that come in your shop, you want to keep them coming in your shop, because if they're not coming in your shop and they only come one time, there's something going on. There's something wrong, because my customers return time and time again for years and years and years. And you can have the same outcome with that, and if you treat your customers right. So how the main transaction should sort of go. So you want to treat your customers well and give them the experience of a lifetime. You want to have your customers come into your shop and like you are just walking them through a movie set. Like you are walking them through a really pleasant experience. So they're going to come back again and again. So like you want your environment to be clean. We talked a little bit about that on yesterday's video. You want your environment to be clean and organized. They feel a relief that they come in there and they see things like in their place and not a bunch of chaos and stuff. Because customers are smart. They see all of it, you know. You may think that you're getting away with them not noticing the spider in the corner that's been there for 6 weeks or whatever. They see it all. I have a very sharp eye. I see everything wrong. It was my job for 28 years, right? To find what's wrong with this suit, what's wrong with this dress, you know. You just become accustomed to seeing it. And sometimes I see too much that I don't even want to see it anymore, right? It's like, oh my gosh. So anyway, and then you also want to have a really great greeting with them. You want to have a smile on your face. You want to have a welcoming presence or welcoming smile. You're not preoccupied. And if you are, just slowly walk away from that when the customer walks in the door and take care of their needs first. And then just be pleasant and kind with a smile on your face. Sometimes we have to fake it. We have to fake the smile, because we are bogged down or stressed out for the work to get out that we already have. But when those customers come in the door, you want to really treat them with respect, and you want to encourage them to come back again and again, right? So then one thing that I see in other tailor shops is other professionals just want to do the task at hand, do the what do I want to say? Like do only what they have to. Like if someone comes in and say, "Oh, I need these 3 pairs of pants hemmed." Okay, fine. Just going to do those 3 pairs of pants, and sometimes you don't listen enough. You don't listen because they may say, "Well, I need these 3 pairs of pants looked at," or whatever. That means that they want you to kind of use your eye on, is the waist okay? Are the legs too wide? Are they good? Or, how does the customer feel about them? Ask them questions, say, yes, I'm going to hem the length here, but is the width okay? Mention to them, is the waist on your waist where you like it? Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel good? Does it need to let out just a little pinch? Does it need to be taken in a little bit so it's not buckling in when you put your belt on? Like talk to them. And then you get more alterations out of them because they're like, yeah, it could really use a little bit taken in because it does kind of buckle when I put my belt on, or maybe they'll bring their belt with them. A lot of guys would bring their belt with them for the fitting and get the pants right where they want. And I say, yeah, I see, it's kind of buckling here. Maybe you should have just a little pinch taken in so it won't do that, because then it's going to make the legs on the pant drape really a little bit funny, so like really take good care of them. They're there to pay you and to bring in your better butter for your family. So you want to make sure that you are taking your time with each and every person, not rushing the process to hurry up and get back to the task at hand. So anyway, just you want them to be satisfied, right? So you want they're satisfied and their needs to be met when they come in there. And that comes with really listening to them sometimes. You have to really have a keen eye on listening to them and write down what they say. They're like, I would like this dress pressed, pressed when I pick it up, or I would like just different things. There's a little snag here. Could you take care of that snag? Write really great notes on the back of your alteration tag. What I would do is I had these not little, but they were long, like long strips of paper, like cardstock. I would have those stacked up at my cash register. And when they brought in a whole bundle of stuff, or they brought in stuff where there was extra notes needed, those alteration tags, you don't have much room to write. And I like to write it all out. I want to know exactly and make sure I get everybody's order correct, right? So I would take one of those, I'd staple it to the alteration tag, and then I would write out like the color of the garment, then write out, what it was, yellow skirt, and then write out whatever notes they told me extra for that. And then, that way you stay on track, and each card goes with each order, right? You keep it, you file it on a hanger. If it just comes in a bag, you can put it on a hanger, put the bag on a hanger, and attach the alteration tag to the bag or to the hanger, however you do it, and just really, file it so you know that, put it in your day or whatever of the week. If you have days of the week, that's what I did, Monday through Sunday, and, file it in the day that it's going to be picked up the next day, the day before. You work on it the day before, the day it's due or whatever. Or you could do 2 days before, however you run your shop, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but I did mine like every day or whatever. So anyway, and then we usually had right about most of the time 1 week, 1 week wait for anything less than just, for anything more than just a hem, was like a 1 week wait. And then you want to work on their garments with passion and care. So you want to make sure that you're doing a quality job, not a yucky job. You want to do a quality job that you yourself would accept. You would accept that if that was on your high price garment, whatever. We worked on a lot of high priced items at times, and you really have to have your head in the game, and you have to make sure that you are, having your full focus on whatever it is you're working on. And then something nice to do is to add something to get them to come back again. Like I said yesterday in the video, like if you made a little thing about how to get ink or lipstick off, how to iron a shirt, how to do, sew on a button, or some little message, a really nice little message that pertains to how you've helped them or whatever. You can put a little message on paper, type it out or whatever. You can also give them a coupon for their next visit. You can do the punch card that we mentioned yesterday. You can give them an invitation. Maybe once a month you have like a get to know me night. You could call it just like a get to know me evening, and you offer cheese, crackers, and maybe a little wine, or maybe just a little sparkling water, whatever it is, and you put some invitations out, and it's like, come and see me then. So you make up some invitations that say, every week on the last Friday of the month, I have a little open house where you come in and you can get to know me. You can get to know about what I do and all the different things that I do. And you can meet other people, whatever, and then you just start having these, and then people will start coming, especially if you have wine there, or you have like, I don't know, sodas, or maybe you make mocktails, maybe no alcohol at all, but you just make mocktails, right? And those are really good, and people are all about them right now. They're like the big craze right now, where you have like a wine glass and you have those big cubes of ice cubes in there, and then you just put some sparkling water and some little fruit juice and maybe a little slice of lemon or a little slice of some berries or something in there, and they're like, oh wow, this is so cool, especially women, they like that little bit of finesse, so you could do something like that. And then you can talk, about, that you work on wedding dresses, and you also do beadwork, and maybe you do some embroidery, maybe you do, just a number of things, maybe you also have handmade things in your shop and that you sell, when people come in. That's a great way to make another little form of revenue. So you can do that. I used to do a lot of different dresses. I had a front porch when I was divorced, and I was working at my own duplex. I lived in a duplex. It was upstairs and a downstairs duplex or whatever, and we lived in the whole thing. And I had my shop in the front room on the downstairs, and then I had a porch out there, and I had these two big rounders. And I would make dresses, and I'd put dresses out there, and then I'd also get some thrifted things that were really like high-end, good quality, and make sure everything was okay with it before you put it out there, and always have it clean so you didn't get that funky old smell, from like other thrift shops or whatever. But anyway, I would sell things there, and I'd make different little like jewelry, and I'd make different little things, and you'd be surprised. I did so good selling off that porch. They would get ready to leave, and then they'd come walking back in there, go, I found a few things. I'm like, oh, okay. And there was this one lady that she come there, and it was like, she bought like tons of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this really helps, And, So yeah, so you can do things like that, you know. I remember when I was in another location, and I was trying to get out of one of the outlet malls. I was inside of one of the outlet malls where I first started. Well, I didn't first start my shop there, but I first started my actual business there because I was doing alterations out of an apartment when I was younger. And I had to, they made me move because we kept having so many people were coming. I had to add in the paper, and we kept having too many people come, uh, and people were getting congested in that road. And the landlord or whatever, he come to collect rent one time, and I was there, and he said, the neighbors are complaining. They're wondering what's going on here. And I said, come on in. I said, just come on in. I'll show you what's going on. So I showed him my machines, and I had a little dining room that I didn't use for a dining room because way back then we didn't have anything, you know. We had barely had a couch and a kitchen table, I think. You know, we didn't have anything. We moved here from Nebraska after I learned my trade. I moved back home to Indiana, and we didn't have anything. We were just two young kids, just with a little newborn baby, you know, new baby, and we didn't have anything. And so I said, yeah, I've been taking in alterations to try to, you know, increase our income because, you know, my husband was, at the time I married him, I was out in Nebraska with, came back here, got married, and then we ended up moving back because our parents started getting ill and started getting that they needed our help. So anyway, and he says, you can't do that here. You have to move. You can't do that here. I said, okay, we'll move. I said, just give us some time. We'll move. I'll stop doing it and we'll move, you know. So then I called up my best friend and I said, I don't know what we're going to do. I said, they're not going to let me take in alterations here. I said, I don't know what to do. She said, oh, she said, you know, she said, they're having a lot of problems where I work with alterations. She said, why don't you talk to the main head guy? And I said, well, what's his name? What's his phone number? She gave it to me. And she was a dear for doing that. And so I called him, and then I went in for an interview, and I thought I was just going to interview with this one guy, right? This Tony guy. And so they had this big, huge boardroom, and I was like, oh my goodness. And they opened the door for me, and I walked in there, and I was like, oh my God, there was like 6 other guys in suits, and they were all going to be asking me questions and interviewed me. I was like, oh my God. And I must have been like 23, 24, something like that. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God. I had this cute little red dress on. I was teeny tiny back then. I had this cute little red dress on. And they just fell in love with me, and they go, when do you want to start this? Well, you have to get your tax ID number. You're going to have to go to Indianapolis, and you're going to have to get it like overnight. We're going to boot these other people out. We're going to get you in there. And I'm like, oh man, okay. So we did all of that, and we got our tax ID number that day. We went to Indy and got tax ID number that day, and the name of the business and all that. It was Karen's Alteration Corner with a K. And I ran that thing for 26 years or something like that, 26 years. Then I opened up as, I moved again, and then took a little bit of time off, and then I opened up as the Tailored Wedding, and that was going real good too. And then I ended up getting sick, and then I had some health problems, and I'm still kind of like in between here trying to figure myself out and health-wise. And then so I was like, I'm just going to give it up for right now, but my shop is still situated. I don't know if I'm moving it over here to my new location or not, but my son's like, Mom, I am not carrying that stuff upstairs. I'm not carrying those heavy machines upstairs. And I'm trying to think here, well, I could take the head off, and I could just move the table up there, take the head up there, take the motor off, and then get them all up there. And I'd love to have them up here because I plan on staying up here for a while. And, you know, I'd like to do that in my cutting table. And then I also sell online, clothing online that I make. So I redesign and I sell other things on live shows. So I do that too for another form of income. But anyway, regardless of what I do. But anyway, so yeah. So anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. Enough about me. You guys don't care about me. You care about what's going on here. So then you want to... we mentioned about adding an invitation or adding something or a note or something nice to your garments. And then maybe like something a little extra special, like if they spend 150, they spend 100, they spend 200, you give them a little sewing kit, or you give them some little something, you know. So that's also nice. You can also get those little cheapy little where they pull out the little tape measure. You know, you can give those, and you could get your name and insignia on there, and then you could give those away. You buy a whole bunch of them at the time, and you get them for cheap, and you could give those away. You know, some little thing, and they like that. They just think that it's a nice gesture, anyways. And then, so then you're going to get to your part where your payment and your pricing. So you want to greet the follow-up visit. So when they come back to pick up their garments and stuff, you want to have the same courtesy and the same smile on your face, and you want to make sure that you are taking care of their needs, making sure their garments get found easy, and you want to make sure that you're not like helter-skelter and unorganized, and you can't find where the heck their items are. That will make people not want to come back, like you're going to lose their stuff. They will be fearful. So you want to make sure that you have one closet only for all the done stuff, or you have the pant hems in a bag underneath your cash wrap, something really close to the cash register. You want to be able to get those people their garments and stuff immediately, and not like, you know, play around with where's their stuff. You know, they won't come back. I'm telling you right now, they will not come back. And so anyway, and another thing that you have to be clear on is your pricing. Like I mentioned yesterday, it's so important. I mean, so important. What makes you stand out as a business, or as somebody flubbing as trying to be a business, is you have to be straight with your prices. You have to know what your pricing is. You have to post your pricing. You have to be able to let people see what the pricing is. You don't want to hide prices on people, because they will not come back. If they can see for themselves what the price is, like in the dressing room, you have it framed and you have it in there before they even come for the fitting of the garment. They can already see, okay, I have 3 pant hems. What's it going to cost me? Okay, pant hems. What do you have here? You have $10 a piece, you know, $30. That's what it's going to cost me today. They know. They already have it ingrained in them before they do the fitting. They already know. Or you can have it posted at your front door. You can have it posted behind the cash wrap. I used to have it posted like at all 3-4 different places, you know, and I used to hand out my price list. I'd go to the outlet malls and I'd hand out my price list with my business card stapled to it. So if people from that store wanted to send somebody to me, they had my phone number, they had a way to get a hold of me, and they could come and make an appointment with me and come and get their stuff altered. So you want to be very clear on your prices, really good printing on your prices, no questions asked on your prices. You set your prices, not anyone else. You set your prices comparable to what is going on in the area, right? You want to know what everybody else is charging in the area, if you have multiple shops around or not. You know, we used to base ours off of, we got a lot of people here from Chicago for the outlet malls. So we used to base our prices a little bit compared to some of the shops in Chicago, compared to some of the shops here. And then we would kind of cut it, like I said yesterday, not in the middle, but we'd cut it like right underneath some of the Chicago prices. And so, you want to do that. And then when people come in and they try to block you down on your prices, well, I have 4 pairs of pants. Can you do it for, you know, can you do it for $5 a piece today? No. You stick to what your prices are posted. You stick to the pricing, and you don't balk down for it. Even for family, even for friends, you stick to your prices. I charge family and I charge friends. Except for when we had a wedding in the family, I do the bridesmaid dresses. I do that for free, whatever. Something like that, special occasion. But if they brought something in, they were paying. You know, they already knew that up front. I told them all up front, because I had a large family at that time. And I was like, you know what? It's just the way that it is. I'm in it for business. And so, you know, I'm not here to, you know, pretend and do anybody favors. I'm not here to make the world, you know, like all happy or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm here to feed my boys and feed my family too, just like you are. You know, you're there to create a business, to bring in income for your business. Why slight yourself, right? Why slight your kids? You know, you're there to make a profit. It costs money to run a business. If you are actually, you know, a licensed business or whatever, you have your tax ID in that. So, you know, you have lights on, you have things that you have to pay for too, you know, and you have to charge, you know, almost premium prices nowadays. You have to get your money out of your time, you know, And so don't back down on your prices. Keep your prices of what you have stated, and review those every year. Review your prices every year. Compare them to other people around the areas every year. And really think about those prices. You know, if you go up 50 cents, if you go up, a dollar, whatever you want to do, but make it work for you, make you feel confident about you're getting enough for your time. You may be busy or whatever else, but make sure that you're doing some of these things to increase your revenue. So you, like I talked before, you want to make their experience beautiful, like you are walking them through, a movie set. Make it easy for them to find you. You should be online. You should be in all the different little shops that you have around you that don't offer alterations, but they're selling dresses, they're selling suits, they're selling that. They should know about you. If they don't know about you, you're doing something wrong. You're sitting there by yourself feeling sorry for yourself or whatever you're doing. You get your butt out there and you get walking. You get walking those shops. You get taking your information in those shops, your phone number, your name, greet those people nice, and they'll treat you back the same way. They'll send you people time and time again if you're good to them. So make sure that you're doing that. You're not sitting there, feeling sorry for yourself, because there's money to be made out there. There's money rolling in all the time to people that are doing a fantastic job for alterations. So it's a dying trade right now. It's time to get into it, and you're going to do very well. You'll do fine. I supported my family on my trade. For years I supported my family. My first husband didn't want to work, and I supported my family on my trade. So you can do it too. You just have to have a little bit of gumph. You have to have a little bit of energy. You have to, make sure that you're not sitting there eating a lot of stuff that's dragging you down, or listening to a bunch of gossip that's dragging you down. And sometimes what it takes, like I'm just now finding out, it takes a whole life change, to get out of people who bring you down, and to get into a different mindset of I can do a lot of different things on my own, and I can be healthier on my own than I can being with someone that's draining my energy, and I'm putting all my focus on what they're doing. What about me? What about my savings plan? What about my retirement? What about my income, right? That's how you should be treating yourself. What about your income? What about your savings plan? What about your kids going to college? All these different things that are going to cost money one day. You're going to need that money. So yeah, so I'm telling you guys the way I see it. I'm sorry, that's the only way I can be in life, is just I tell you how I see it. I tell you how I feel it. And if I can do it, and I didn't at the time, I had no college education at the time. When I learned my trade, I didn't have any college education. I was right out of high school. A couple years later, we moved. All I had was a high school diploma. And then I didn't go to college until after I had my shops, already running and stuff. So I also went to Harrington College in Chicago for interior design when I was running my shop. And so that was a wonderful school. It was really a great school. And then I also went to Purdue to get some of my my main courses done at Purdue. And so, I didn't have, the education or anything back then, and I did it. So, you can do this too. And it's simple. It's just learning the trade, learning it well, the right way, not a chop job. You don't want to cut people's garments apart. Don't cut everything down to the threads. Don't cut everything really skimpy. Leave material in there for them to lengthen the pants one day. Leave material in there for them to, lengthen the sleeves someday, or lengthen the dress hem someday. Give people a little, if it's made like that, I'm saying, give people that little bit of flexibility, especially in waist and side seams. So you want to leave a little bit in there, and not cut everything out. So keep focused, on your clients. Give them your undivided attention when they come into your shop. Don't go running like they're in your shop and they're going to get fitted or whatever. And if they're ready, standing there to be fitted, and you're out running looking for somebody's order, or you're out running, looking, doing whatever, on the phone to your husband or boyfriend or whatever, you're out running around, or you're, disrespecting them, they're not gonna come back again. So when your customer walks in that door, they should have your undivided attention immediately. That's just respect. So they should have your undivided attention. So when they're standing there to get fitted, you should be saying, I'll be right there. Let me get my pen cushion. Let me get my chalk, or whatever it is, however you pen. And you will be right with them. And you don't go, and then you're in the middle. This is one thing that I really didn't like. Once in a while, I would catch my employee sometimes. So they'd be doing a fitting on a dress or whatever, and they're hemming the fitting, and the phone would ring. What are you going to do? What would you do? Would you go running for that phone that could be a maybe? Or are you going to please the person that's standing there right now? So you want to never run for that phone. You can call them people back. Them people will call back. You finish up with them. Don't run for the telephone. Just do what you're doing. Do a nice job for them. Make sure you treat them with, respect and kindness, and get them back in the dressing room and done before you go running on to the phone. It's just not professional. So, and those people will, because this is the thing, people want to feel respected and loved and, and important, you know what I mean? And if you disrespect one of those where they don't feel that, they're not going to come back. So you have to make sure that you treat people how you want to feel. How would you feel? Put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel? Someone did that to you, left you standing there for 10 minutes while you sat over there and talked to your friend for, 10 minutes or whatever, just think about what you're doing. Think about your actions, because if your business is important to you, then those people are most important to you, because they're bringing in the dough. They're bringing in the money for you to live on. And so you want to be, extra cautious, and you want to, you want to, do a good job for them and everything. And so make sure that you care about them, and you treat them with really good respect and one-on-one attention, just like they deserve. So I talked to you about the, if you buy my book, I'll put the link below. If you purchase my book, The Art of Tailoring, Step-by-Step Skills That Can Lead to a Career, you can learn the art of alterations and tailoring, and you too can start a business very inexpensively. And if you need coached in how to do that, then I will also help you with that. And if you buy the book and you send me a picture of you with the book, then I will also, if you email me at talenttoprofit60@yahoo.com, I will send you a little gift that pertains to the book, and I think you'll like it. And so I hope that you guys will do that. And please, if you do buy my book, please make sure that after you read the book, you go back and give me a really kind review. I would really appreciate that. And I do all these videos and all this and give you guys so much great information all the time. And all I ask is that you just treat me the same way, and that you would give me a good review. I would appreciate it so much. So I'm Karen, and I'm a coach for tailoring and alteration businesses, people who own businesses or want to own a business, and they need help getting it started. They need help with production. They need help with customer service. They need help with bringing in more revenue, and they need help to be seen online. So we do all of that. So we help you along with that. And so I'll see you guys in the next video, and stay tuned, and I'll see you guys all real soon. Love you guys so much. Bye-bye for now.